Hello and welcome to Strange Stories. It's great to have you here. We are all about sharing stories of near-death experiences from around the world in the hopes of bringing some light and inspiration to your day. Our daily videos offer a glimpse into what lies beyond this life, and we believe that they can help us all appreciate the gift of life a little bit more. If you enjoy our content, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest videos. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue to grow. And to our returning viewers, welcome back. We're thrilled to have you with us again. So go ahead, grab a cozy blanket, get comfy, and join us for today's incredible near-death experience story.
I am 71 years old. I was 25 years old when I had this encounter. In a different city, my friend resided. He invited me to his wedding. At my friend's house, I intended to stay for 3 days. But on the second day, my sister called to let me know that my grandfather was being treated for a heart attack and was in the hospital. My friend advised me to return the next day because it was too late and risky for me to drive. I declined my friend's advice. About 2 a.m., I departed. During that time, the road was not yet a highway. Coming from the opposite direction was a pickup vehicle. It had its high beams on and was moving in my lane. I swerved to the right, but the road was too narrow and I hit the car head on. After turning around several times, my automobile landed in the field next to me. I suffered severe injuries. Fortunately, a bus that was passing by observed the accident site a few minutes later. They transported me to a nearby little hospital. The medical staff at the hospital quickly began treating me. My entire body was in a great deal of discomfort. When I lay on the bed in the operating room, all kinds of ideas sprang to my head. I felt let down by everything and everyone. My life and the world seemed to be in total disarray. My thoughts were rife with grumbling and rage. For a while, I wasn't unconscious or in a coma. I was tortured by excruciating anguish. Everything changed abruptly, and I felt a sense of serenity wash over me. I felt the exact opposite of how I'd been feeling just a short while earlier. I thought everything was just right. I could now sense what other people were thinking. The nurse's tension and worry were palpable to me. How tragic that this young man is dying in such a way, the nurse was thinking. I attempted to pat the nurse to let her know that I was fine. My hand, however, just passed through her shoulder with no resistance. I immediately arrived in front of my mother as soon as I'd thought about her. She was cleaning some veggies and prepared the items for dinner. I was in two places at once, making it difficult to explain this occurrence. I wanted to give her a back hug, yet my hand pierced her body completely. She didn't seem to hear me when I tried to speak with her. At this time, I also visited friends and relatives. I recalled one of my high school instructors who I really loved. Suddenly, I was there for him, and I could quickly see all his thoughts and feelings. He's now not doing well in his life and is experiencing financial difficulties. Also, I sensed that his health had just declined. It was useless for me to try to get in touch with the folks that I was seeing and let them know I was there. Nobody could see or hear me. I observed everything that occurred in the hospital in the interim. The physician pronounced me dead. My medical file contains a note stating that the resuscitation was unsuccessful. They brought me to another room and covered my face with a sheet. I recall once moving fast down a tunnel in the direction of a bright light at the end of the passage. Time has no longer any meaning, so I'm unable to pinpoint the precise time when this occurred in my experience. I visited a realm that was made of light and was incredibly intriguing. I had the impression that the place was my true home and where I belonged. Everything you hold dear loses significance in this situation. Everything appeared to be flawless. There are additional souls there as well. Each soul is unique. Some will be larger or more vibrant because each person has a unique set of skills and capacities. I often felt like someone was following me when I went to see my mom. I didn't see the previous person because I was preoccupied with my excellent trip at the time. When I finally saw him, he was a divine being. He had a strong and unwavering love for me. I came to understand that he was always by my side and that he served as my guide. My guide showed me something. I observed a man with a lot of power in the world. When this man passed away, his ghost would visit his former workplace. On his desk, he made an effort to sign several papers, but there was no sign of his signature. These ghosts sometimes move in the shadows by their deceased loved ones. Some would plead with their relatives to pardon them. Some simply wanted to hang around them, but it didn't work because the family members were unable to sense their presence. The next scene he presented to me was one from my own life. The scenes were presented in order of when they occurred, beginning with the time my life was created. I happened to see my mom and a pregnant young woman. I see me as a tiny child when our family was traveling by car. I intended to carry some water from a nearby river in a bucket because it was close to the road. I decided to spill part of the water from the bucket on the way back since I thought it was too heavy. On a deserted area, I saw a tree. I approached the tree and sprayed some water at its roots. "We're proud of you," the magician told me. I found this odd because I didn't consider it to be a huge concern. I believe I've accomplished more worthwhile things. I furthermore noticed another scene. There was pain in the boy's body and heart. He was intoxicated and sitting on the side of the road. Everything around him was impacted by the bad energy he was emitting. This terrible energy emanated from him and spread across the entire universe, including the trees and animals. I realized that everything is alive and we classify things as either being alive or being inanimate. Almost all things are living. I observed the impact the man's condition had on his parents when he got home. When their kid was absent from the house, his parents became even more concerned. I begged my guide to let me stay here because I wanted to continue living in the land of peace and love. He reminded me that I still had a lot of work to do. I resisted going back. He promised me that if I come back to Earth, I would find many lost souls. I was eager to get back to Earth after I saw how much I would aid others. I've kept my encounters secret from others because I frequently received mockery and unfavorable remarks when I discussed it. Due to this occurrence, I was also let go by my employer. More and more members of society are becoming aware of and accepting of this phenomena in recent years. More and more people are open to hearing my narrative, contrary to the past. Now, more young individuals are expressing curiosity in the background. I am aware that the story's credibility is currently being contested by numerous people. That is how I personally feel as long as I make a meaningful contribution to society and inspire others who have lost hope. The main reason I'm telling my tale is for that reason. The first story for today comes to a conclusion here. Please, feel free to leave a comment after listening to it. Let me know what you think. The following account is from a woman. Let's listen to her story as a group. My husband and I have been married for 3 years, and despite our best efforts, we've never been able to have children. We made the decision to visit a doctor in a different city. A friend recommended this medical professional. After 5 hours of driving, we arrived at the doctor's office. The surgeon advised that I have a laparoscopic procedure first. The surgical time was quickly scheduled. The surgery was pretty routine to the doctor. I kept my family in the dark about the surgery because I didn't want them to be concerned. I was soon going to be able to go home, the doctor assured me. It was only a little operation. After the procedure, I noticed my husband seated next to me. "I need to drink some water," the nurse said as she entered. I felt like I couldn't sit up when I tried to. When I explained the situation to the nurse, she displayed worry. For observation, I was transferred to another ward. After a brief period in the ward, I was transferred to the intensive care unit. Doctors had gathered all around me, I noticed. They informed me that I was bleeding internally. They required quick action. Also rushing to the hospital was my family. The entire time, my family was praying for me. I had to struggle for my life for the following 5 days. My body weakened more and more over time. I heard medical professionals discussing my condition while I was still aware. My organs were rapidly losing their ability to function, so they were unable to do surgery. They continued to give me blood transfusions while trying various drugs to control the bleeding. A family gathering was held after the doctors had exhausted all of their options. My family was informed by the doctors that they had done everything they could. They offered me 3 hours to get better, and if I didn't, my family would have to make a difficult choice. I have no idea how long I was unconscious. I once more opened my eyes to find a man in front of me. I recognized him as Jesus. "You're Jesus, right?" I asked. He did not reply to me. I only needed to smile to know the answer because I already knew. We had a lengthy conversation while strolling by the river. Everything there was wonderful. I didn't have a verbal communication with Jesus. When I had a question, I felt like I could immediately obtain a response since it seemed like he understood what I was thinking. His eyes caught my attention, and I must say, I had never seen such stunning colors. The eyes were a light brown color and sparkled with affection. "What does Jesus do in heaven?" I questioned. He gave me a smile that no language could adequately convey as he looked at me. "I carry out the will of the Father," he declared. Then he displayed an army of angels to me. White light was emitted from them. They were standing in the distance, surrounded by a brilliant light. I observed a large group of people crossing through a fence as we headed back the way we had come. They seemed dull. Yet, as they emerged from that entrance, they were in white attire. I questioned Jesus. "Is this the route to heaven?" as I turned to face him. Instead, he replied with a smile, "May I now go there?" I subsequently questioned. Jesus responded, "Yeah, you can go." "Is Jesus ready to ask me?" "Yes, I'm ready," I replied. I then stated that I wanted my spouse to accompany me. "Your husband can't accompany you since his time isn't up yet," Jesus stated with a kind smile. "I want to be with my husband," I replied as I turned to face him. "I don't want to go to heaven by myself because of this." Jesus then got a hold of my hands and flipped the palms up. He said, "I want you to remember something. You are God's child. God loves every one of his children. Also, God is always on your side." I responded, "Yes, I get it." "You may now return," he said. "Your loved ones are still concerned about you." Back in my body I went. This encounter taught me a lot of things. The devil and Satan are actually entities. Heaven exists. In Jesus' presence, the devil is powerless. They will hide in the shadows when Jesus appears. The devil and Satan are real. Heaven exists. In Jesus' presence, the devil is powerless. They will hide in the shadows when Jesus appears. Heaven exists.